to the GOAT selection. I'm Ryan Mauger. It's a pleasure to introduce you to my brother, Brad Miller. Give him a warm welcome. Basically, in this show, we're going to be highlighting the matchups each and every week of the UFC, going over our picks and who we think is going to win the fight. And we're going to have some good conversation with it. So hope you guys enjoy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I guess we'll get right to it.
Let's do it.
This is the UFC London Event, Blades versus Aspinall. I'm extremely excited. I think there's a lot of good matchups here, and it's really exciting to see some of these guys go head-to-head. We're going to start off with our first fight is a welterweight bout between Claudio Silva, coming in at a 210 underdog, and Nicholas Dalby, the minus 250 favorite in this fight. Silva coming in 14-3, while Dalby comes in at 19-4-1 with 2 no contests, both coming off of losses in their last fight. Similar height. Dalby's going to have a couple inches in reach, but the leg reach is going to be just an inch apart. When we get down to the numbers, the significant strikes here, you see Silva's landing 2.81 at a 41% significant strike percentage. To Dalby's 3.26, 38%. The absorb per min is, very similar, while Dalby on paper has a better defense. So that's something to look at there. We get into the grappling side of things. Silva's looking at 2.63 takedown average per 15 with a 25% success rate. And what I'm really seeing there is Dalby's 65% takedown defense. That's huge. While he's only, attempting 1.25 at a 29% accuracy. Man, both of these guys, Silva's a jiu-jitsu fighter, while Dalby's really an MMA all-around type of guy. While Dalby does have 6 knockout wins, 4 submission wins. He debuted May 2015. While Silva came into the UFC March 2014. What do you think about this matchup, Brad?
Yeah, so first thing I'm going to look at here is the significant strikes for both of these guys. It's not many punches being thrown per minute. Significant strike accuracy is not very good. They absorb more than they throw, and the defense isn't outstanding to me. Then you go. So I'm going to compare the grappling here. I think obviously you could see the stats. Claudio Silva has a much more advantage in the takedown average. Takedown accuracy, not good either. Takedown defense, both are pretty decent. The submission average, Silva's got him in that. So I really don't know which way to go with this fight. I think if you look at the decision percentage, you see Nicholas Dalby has won 50% of his fights from decision. And Claudio Silva has won 64% from submission. So it's really going to be an interesting fight. I think this is going to be a good one to start the card off with, and I'm excited for this. I'm going to go with Nicholas Dalby. I think if he can keep this on the feet, that's going to be his best way to win. Obviously, he's going to have to be a little more accurate with his strikes. The defense, he needs to not absorb so many punches, and he's really going to have to keep him on the feet. He's going to have to defend Claudio Silva from taking him down and attempting a submission.
I'm going to follow in your footsteps and also put my money on Nicholas Dalby for this opening match of UFC London. I think it's going to be a good one, just like you said, but much, much more to look forward to. In our second fight, it's going to be a women's flyweight bout. Mandy Baum coming in at the minus 130 favorite, and Victoria Fury Leonardo at the plus 110 underdog. Mandy the Monster coming in at 7-1-0 with 1 no contest. Victoria Leonardo 8-5, both coming off of losses in their last matches. While Mandy's going to have a couple inches on the height, as well as a 6-inch reach advantage, which really could play a factor in this fight, considering if it stays on the feet. We get into the significant strikes. Victoria Leonardo, she's throwing 3.71 at a 41% significant strike rate, and I like those numbers. Although both of these women, their absorb per minute is very, very high, so it really makes me question, is this just going to be an all-out brawl? And if that's the case, I like what I'm seeing from Victoria Leonardo. 2.4 with a 33% significant strike rate just isn't doing it for me on Mandy Baum's side of it. Although her defense is a little bit better. I think that could be really interesting. We get into the grappling aspect of this, and it seems as if Mandy Baum doesn't really like, being on the mat, and you can see that 0 takedown average per 15, while Leonardo only has a 27% accuracy to Mandy Baum's 100% takedown defense. So truly, I think if Victoria can get her down to the mat, it's bad news for Mandy. Although I think it may be a little bit difficult, after 8 pro fights and nobody's been able to take her to the mat. Could Victoria Leonardo be the one to do it? Sure. But also, Mandy Baum is the bigger fighter.
I think the first thing you need to look at is the reach. Mandy Baum has a 7-inch advantage in the reach with arms. So that, I think, right there is going to play a huge part in this fight. I think Mandy Baum's going to try and keep this up. I think if she can stop Victoria Leonardo, it's the same thing as last fight. It's going to have to be a standing fight for one person to win. If the other can get the other down, I think that's how they're going to win. I don't think Mandy Baum is a very aggressive grappler, and I definitely could see Leonardo trying to take this fight to the ground, and I like that. I think she should, absolutely. That should be the game plan going into her camp. This girl hasn't even been taken down. Mandy Baum, 0 takedown. I mean, she hasn't been taken down, 100% defense.
Yeah.
I 100% can see this fight going to the ground. I think Leonardo can be the one to do it. I like Leonardo in this fight. I think I'm going to go with Leonardo.
You know what? I'm going to have to also follow with you there and go for Victoria Leonardo in this fight. Although, again, this is another one of those that really could go either way, depending on where the fight stands. Our next fight is going to be a lightweight bout between Jai Herbert, the minus 275 favorite, and Kyle Nelson, the plus 230 underdog. Jai Herbert coming into this fight 11-4-0. Kyle Nelson 13-4-0. Both coming off of losses in their last fights. A couple inches on the height for Herbert, as well as a 6-inch reach advantage, which really, really is something to keep in consideration. When you look at his win-by percentage, 82% of his fights his win-by has ended in him knocking the other fighter out. Obviously, you look at Kyle Nelson, a little bit more well-rounded, a couple sub finishes, a couple knockout finishes, and going to decision as well. Getting into the significant strikes, Kyle Nelson's throwing 3.63 at a higher significant strike percentage at 41, but his absorb per minute does not make me feel good about putting any kind of confidence in him. 6.82, which is very high, although on paper it says his defense percentage is better. Jai Herbert's land per minute is 2.47 with only a 36% significant strike rate, but his absorb per minute is low, 2.9. And on the feet, I think if they stand and bang, it could go either way, but I feel like Kyle Nelson is leaving himself open and could potentially get caught here. In the grappling aspect of things, neither of these fighters are too privy to taking it to the mat, it seems, with a .96 takedown average over 15 minutes for Kyle Nelson and only a 12% accuracy. While his takedown defense is 60% to Herbert's 42%, and that submission average per 15 is 1.91. So if this does go to the mat, it seems as if Kyle Nelson would be the more comfortable fighter there. Kyle Nelson is a jiu-jitsu specialist, 7 first-round finishes, debuted in December of 2018, while Herbert is a well-rounded mixed martial artist. Again, that 6-inch reach advantage is huge. 9 knockout wins, 4 first-round finishes. Debuted in March of 2020. So, really here, I'm going to have to go with Jai Herbert just because I am not confident in that 6.82 absorb per minute on Kyle Nelson's part. And also, the ground the ground game just doesn't look appealing for either of these fighters necessarily, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with Jai Herbert on this one.
I'm going to go against what I said at the last fight. The reach advantage, I think that's huge. I think Jai Herbert's got a well-rounded standing platform. But I like jiu-jitsu in this one. I think Kyle Nelson's numbers are kind of not showing what he can truly do. I think if he gets this fight down, he can truly finish Jai Herbert. I'm a big jiu-jitsu guy. I like the jiu-jitsu background from Kyle Nelson. I know he absorbs a lot of strikes per minute, so I don't like that, and that worries me. But I'm going to go with Kyle Nelson here. I think he can take this fight down, and he can get this finished.
Very nice. And again, we are going to be reviewing at the beginning of each episode. We're going to review how our picks did for last week, and we are going to keep track of our own win-loss record, just so we can kind of see how our picks get better and how we can kind of grow not only with the show, the sport, and our viewers watching. So it's going to be really, really interesting, and even the potential for some DraftKings head-to-heads and all that fun stuff. So more to come with this show, and that's going to lead us right into our flyweight bout in our next fight between Muhammad Mokaev and Charles Johnson. This is Charles Johnson's debut, coming in with a professional record of 11-2-0, while Muhammad Mokaev 7-0 with one no contest, coming off of his win in his last fight. Now, I got to watch his debut. He had a first-round submission in the first 58 seconds, which was absolutely incredible, to come into the UFC and submit your opponent within the first minute of the fight. I think that's incredible, and that was just back in March of 22. So I really, really like what Mokaev's capable of, although he's only had one fight with us. But there's just not enough information on Charles Johnson. We get into it. The significant strikes, again, the numbers really aren't there. 2.07 landed per minute with a 40% significant strike percentage for Mokaev, with a 1.03 absorbed per minute. Phenomenal numbers there. And his defense is 80%. Although, with 1 minute of time in the cage in the UFC, these numbers really don't tell the story. But the big one here is that submission average over 15 minutes, 15.52 for Mokaev. I mean, if this guy gets you on the ground, you better have your head on a swivel. This guy's going to be trying everything. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge number, dude. Especially to try 15 submissions within 1 minute of your first UFC fight is absolutely incredible. So I'm going to have to go Muhammad Mokaev. Nothing against Charles Johnson. I think it could be a fun fight to watch because I have no clue what to expect, truly. But I'm going to have to go with Muhammad here just because I've seen him, I know him, and there's at least a little bit of
I like
information
this fight.
on him.
This is going to be a good matchup. Like you said, the numbers for Mokaev stand out significantly. The submission percentage, the submission attempts, not so good on the takedown average, though. And that's what I like in this fight with Charles Johnson is Charles Johnson's got the 16-pound advantage in this fight. He's also got 2 inches taller.
That's
so
right.
It's harder for Muhammad Mokaev to strike. I think Charles Johnson's going to come in and he's going to be a striker. I like his knockout/TKO rate. I know we don't have stats on him, but I think Charles Johnson can get the job done here in his first UFC fight. And this is going to be
very interesting.
Go ahead.
He is coming off of. Go ahead. He's coming off of a 4-fight win streak, so he's riding that high straight into his UFC debut. I see where you're coming from, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal matchup.
Nothing against Muhammad Mokaev. I think he could easily take this guy down and put him to sleep. I'm just going to go with Charles Johnson here.
Yeah. All right, I got Mokaev. You got Johnson. I'm really looking forward to that one. Our next fight is a featherweight bout between Jonathan Pierce at the -200 favorite and Makwan Amirkhani at the +170 underdog. Mr. Finland coming into this one 17-7. Jonathan Pierce 12-4. Both coming off of wins in their last fight. The height advantage will go to Jonathan Pierce here. Although the reach is still in Americani's wheelhouse. He's got an inch reach advantage there. So, that's interesting to have, the height advantage, but not the reach advantage. Getting into the numbers, I love what I'm seeing from Jonathan Pierce. 4.98 with a 52% significant strike rate. That's incredible, but the absorb per minute is a little bit higher than I'd like to see, and his defense on paper is just a little bit behind Makwan Americani. For him, it's going to be 1.36 landed per minute with a 43% significant strike rate, and that's nothing small. I mean, for throwing barely 2 punches and having it 43%, I like it. And that absorb per minute's much better than that 4.1 we're seeing on Jonathan Pierce's side. And his defense is better. Getting into the grappling aspect of it, this is where it gets interesting. When I see 6.7 and 4.8 takedown average per 15 minutes for both of these guys, this is going to be a grappling matchup. They're comfortable on the mat. Jonathan Pierce with a 58% takedown accuracy to Americani's 43%. Jonathan Pierce's takedown defense is going to be a little bit better, and then very similar on the submission average over 15 minutes. So I think this is going to be a grappler's matchup, and I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one plays out. But overall, Americani has 12 wins by submission. He's a wrestler, debuted in January of 2015. Jonathan Pierce, debut in October of 19. He's more of a mixed martial artist with 8 wins by knockout. He's coming off of a 3-fight win streak.
Yeah,
I got to go with Jonathan Pierce
here. I think Jonathan Pierce is standing out in every category. Although I do like Mr. Finland here, Americani. I like what I see out of him. I've watched him fight. The submission is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if he gets you in a submission, he has a 71% submission rate. He's going to get it. There's no denying that. And I think obviously the stand-up striking might not be the greatest for him, but I think he can get the job done if he gets his fight to the ground. And I think Jonathan Pierce wants his fight in the ground. I think that's going to hurt him. I think that's where it's going to come to beat him. Is he's going to want to take this fight down, and I hope that's not his game plan, but you never know. And I'm just going to go with Mr. Finland here.
Interesting, because although I'm looking at these significant strikes, man, I mean, it really looks like Americani isn't that brawler type. So if he can keep it on the feet, JSP's got the heavy advantage on the feet, while also still being comfortable on the ground with a 6.7 takedown average. So I don't think he's afraid of wherever this fight ends up. And I think it's going to be a good one, but I'm going to stick with Jonathan Pierce here. On to our next fight. We have a featherweight bout between Nathaniel Wood at the minus 560 favorite and Charles Rosa, the plus 430 underdog. Wood coming in at 17-5 with Rosa a 14-7 record, both coming off of losses in their last fight. Couple inches in the height category for Rosa here, similar in reach. Getting into the numbers, the significant strike 6.28 at a 46% significant strike rate compared to Charles Rosa's 3.5, 36%. The absorb per minute here is very similar. They're both very high. I think they could end up drawing it out, while on paper, Nathaniel Wood's defense is supposedly better with a higher absorb per minute. Getting into the grappling here, very similar with 1.229 and 1.64. Wood's takedown accuracy is going to be just a little bit better, and Wood's takedown defense at 75% is much better than Rosa's 38%. So, if this fight does end up going to the round, I think Nathaniel Wood has the advantage. Both of them are comfortable on the ground, but again, it makes me question where this fight is really going to be had, because even on paper, on the feet, Nathaniel Wood is throwing 6.2 at a 46% significant strike rate. And his defense is technically better. So, I mean, this one's clear cut. I got to go with Nathaniel Wood here.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
gonna
think
have
the
to
proof
agree
is
with
in
you
the
on that
pudding
one. I
in
think
this one.
Nathaniel Wood's got the advantage here. I think Charles Rosa has a fighter's chance, and I'm never gonna doubt that. But I'm gonna have to go with Nathaniel Wood. Yes.
Of course, he's got Rosa's got 8 wins by sub. I will say to Nathaniel Wood's 9 win by KO by knockout. 7 first round finishes for Nathaniel Wood. He is a mixed martial artist, while Rosa's more of a freestyle fighter. So I think this one's going to be clear cut
and I
in Nathaniel Wood's favor. On to the next one, a lightweight bout between Dimitry Hadzovic, the plus 27 or plus 275 underdog, and Mark Diakite, the minus 330 favorite. Getting into it, Diakite coming in at 15-5, Hadzovic 14-6, both coming off of wins in their last fight. Height advantage going to Diakite by 1 inch, with a 3-inch reach advantage as well. You get into the striking numbers, 3.92 at a 48% significant strikes for Hadzovic. I like what I'm seeing there. To Diakite's 2.84 at a 39% rate. The absorb per minute is a little high for Hadzovic, but very similar. And on paper, his defense is better. But I think the true story of this fight is told right here in the grappling numbers. Diakite at a 3.17 takedown average over 15 minutes to Hadzovic's 0.92. That makes me believe that Diakite wants to take this one to the mat. Hadzovic's takedown defense is only at 37% to Mark Diakite's 62. Although the attempted submissions are in Hadzovic's favor, just barely. But it just shows me that at least Hadzovic won't be stuck in the mud. He's going to be somewhat comfortable down there and willing, if he has the chance, to throw a submission in there.
I really like this fight. I think this is going to be a great fight. I think Hadzovic has the ability to take this guy out. Although Diakite, slight advantage in the reach, slight advantage with weight. I always look at weight. I think weight can be a big advantage. It's hard to take somebody down who's weighing 10 to 15 more pounds than you. The TKO rate for Hadzovic, it looks great. For Diakite, somebody who wants to take the fight down so much, the submission rate is not good. I think Diakite looks to win by decision, and I think he can get it done. I think he's going to get it done against Hadzovic. I think he can get the decision. I think he's looking to go 15 minutes with this guy. I don't think he's looking to go in there and just destroy him. I think he's going to fight smart. Hadzovic's a dangerous guy. He can put you out. So I'm going to go with Diakite here. I think he's coming in with the right game plan, and I think he's going to take Hadzovic out.
I'm going to have to oppose that one and go with Dimitry Hadzovic. At the end of the day, I think if this one stays on the feet, Hadzovic has the potential to knock him out. He's out of Rumble Sports in Copenhagen, while Diakite is a freestyle fighter with 6 wins by knockout, 6 first-round finishes. I don't know. There's just something about my intuition telling me to go with Hadzovic, although, I mean, those grappling numbers are out of this world just compared to Hadzovic. So, again, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a phenomenal fight, but I'm going to have to go with the Bosnian Bomber here. All right, in our prelim headliner between Mason Jones and Ludovit Klein, Mason Jones coming in at the minus 345 favorite, Klein the plus 285 underdog. Mason Dragon Jones coming into this one at 11-1 in with 1 no contest. Klein coming in at 18-4, both coming off of wins in their last fight. The height advantage is going to go to Mason Jones with a 3-inch height advantage. Couple inches on the reach. And getting into the significant strike numbers, 6.71 at a 45% significant strike rate for Mason Jones, 3.58 for Klein with a 55% significant strike average there. Now, this one is tricky because the absorb per minute is 5.59 for Mason Jones, and I think that could get tricky, although 4.2 is not much better. That's still a lot. But if these guys are brawlers, if they're strikers, and this is the way they want this fight to go, then so be it. Hadzovic Klein has a boxing background with 9 first-round finishes, and obviously that 56% striking accuracy there. While Mason Jones is more of a mixed martial artist, well-rounded. He did beat Onama by unanimous decision, which I thought was quite impressive. So I will say that is something to look at. He's got 4 first-round finishes, debuted January of 2021. Getting into the grappling numbers here, you see 4.43 takedown average over 15 minutes at a 52% accuracy rate for Mason Jones. I think that's huge, while you still have to look at Hadzovic Klein's takedown defense at 80% there, which I think is big. And Mason Jones is at 78% as well. So me personally, I think this is going to stay on the feet. I think they're going to bang it out, and I think it's going to be a freaking firework of a fight. I think it's going to be incredible. Although overall, I've got to put my money on Hadzovic Klein in this one. You see, he's got 44% knockout win by percentage with a 44% submission win by percentage as well. Mason Klein only being 36% knockout, 27% sub, and a 36% decision. I just feel more comfortable knowing this fight is not going to go to the cards. I think there's going to be a finish, and if that's the case, Hadzovic Klein, has that 44% knockout, has that 44% submission rate win by. So, and like I said, I got to go with Hadzovic Klein on this one.
Although I am going to go with Mason Jones. I think Mason Jones is going to get this one down on the feet. I don't think he's afraid to take it to the ground. And if that does happen, I think he could finish it on the ground just as well. I like the strikes landed per minute. I understand Hadzovic Klein's a boxer, so maybe Mason Jones might be a little more protected coming into this fight, knowing this guy can strike. The 6.71 landed per minute stands out to me. And Hadzovic Klein, he absorbs 4.2. I think Mason Jones is going to get this one done.
All right, well, I guess we will have to see how things play out in just less than 24 hours. The UFC London event starting at noon, 12 o'clock noon, and then the main event coming on at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which I'm incredibly excited for. I think this card is just out of this world. And that leads us into our main card, Saturday, July 23rd at 3 p.m., like I just said, with the first fight being between number 8, Paul Craig, and number 9, Volkan Ozdemir in the light heavyweight division. Paul Craig here is the plus 135 underdog. Ozdemir, the minus 155 favorite. Paul Craig has a kung fu background with 13 wins by submissions over his professional career. Ozdemir with a 12 win by knockout over his career. He is a striker. I think this matchup is incredible. Paul Bearju Craig, before we even get into the numbers, I don't feel comfortable ever betting against the Bearju. But you look at Volkan Ozdemir, and he's a problem. He's fought, the now champion, and I just think this fight is going to be really, really good. We're going to get into the numbers, the significant strikes here. 4.75 at a 45% significant strike rate for Ozdemir. Just 2.51 landed per minute with a 51% significant strike rate for Paul Craig. The absorb per minute here is big, though. 4.27 to 2.49. And I think that just speaks about these guys' type of fighting style. Paul Craig, although he has that kung fu background, his jiu-jitsu is amazing, and he's looking to take this to the mat, and he wants to finish this fight via submission. There's no doubt in my mind. You get into the grappling numbers, 2.13 takedown average over 15 minutes for the Bearju, just 0.31 for Ozdemir. That makes me believe that he's not comfortable on the ground, but you have to look at that takedown defense at 80% here, which is big. Although I think Paul Craig can do it. Just the only thing that scares me is that 26% takedown accuracy to an 80% takedown defense. I mean, there's something to be said about it. And last but not least, that submission average over 15 minutes, 1.98 for Paul Craig. That's what I like to see. I think if this does get on the ground, Paul Craig has a huge advantage. While if it stays on the feet, the striking background of Oden and Meyer could really make a difference here, although his absorb per minute is high. Overall, with this one, I've got to go with Paul Craig. I like the Bear Jew. I just can't bet against him. And although I really think this one could go either way, truly.
In this fight, I think he's gonna get his way. I think you know what he wants to do. I mean, the numbers don't lie. He wants to stand up and brawl. I think that's going to – I'm not taking anything away from Paul Craig. I think Paul Craig can put this guy out in a heartbeat. Paul Craig is a freak of a man, and this is going to be a brawl, and I'm excited. This is the first fight in the main card. This is going to be an awesome fight. And I just like the last one, Mason Jones and Klein, I think this is going to be another banger back-to-back. I think these guys are ready to go, but I'm going Volkan. I'm betting against you on this one. I like no time Volkan Ozdemir.
All right. And we will have to see how that one plays out. It's going to be the first fight of the main card at 3 p.m. It's very, very soon. It's going to be less than 24 hours. Well, I guess not. There's just a couple hours, I suppose, maybe 26, 27 hours from this moment. But very exciting stuff here. And that leads us into the women's flyweight bout between Meatball Molly McCann and Hannah 24K Goldie. Meatball Molly coming in at the minus 390 favorite. Hannah Goldie, the plus 320 underdog. Coming into this fight, 12-4 for the Meatball, 6-2 for 24K Goldie. Both coming off of wins in their last fight. Similar height, an inch reach advantage to McCann. And when we get into the significant strikes, these numbers are, I mean, the bread and butter if you're going to have an outrageous fight. I mean, look at this, 5.83 landed per minute, 6.5 for Goldie, 50% significant strike percentage for McCann, 47 for Goldie, very similar there. And then their absorb per minute is so similar at 4.93 and 4.85, with McCann's defense percentage just a little bit better. The grappling here could tell the story of how this fight's going to lay out. 1.79 takedown average for McCann, just 0.61 for Goldie. The takedown accuracy looking at about 36% for Meatball Molly, while Hannah Goldie's takedown defense is at 50%. So Meatball Molly could have a hard time taking her down if that's what she's looking to do in this fight, but I don't think there's even a chance. I think these girls are going to stand up and they're going to, stay in the center of the cage and just throw the mitts.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be an incredible fight.
I love this fight. This fight gets me excited. I love this fight. I think this matchup's great. Meatball Molly's coming off one of the most vicious woman spinning elbow knockouts like I've ever seen. Although I will say I do think she was losing that fight, and I do think 24K Hannah Goldie is going to get this one done. I'm going to bet against all odds, and I'm taking 24K Goldie.
Interesting. Wow. Interesting stuff there. I'll tell you what. Me personally, I got to go with Meatball Molly. I'm gonna ride with the Meatball in her home country of the UK. She's got the crowd at her back, screaming and yelling for her. I think it's gonna be another one of those fights where the pressure is on for the other fighter, and Meatball Molly's gonna be feeding on the energy from the crowd. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. I'm gonna have to go with Meatball Molly in this one because she does have that boxing background. The 64% striking defense. I just think overall this one looks really good for Meatball Molly. We'll see how that one goes. Leading into our next one, light heavyweight bout between Nikita Krylov and Aleksandar Gustafsson. Krylov coming in at the minus 200 favorite. Gustafsson the plus what was that, 170 underdog, so still close. Krylov has 21 first-round finishes over his professional career with a karate background. He debuted back in September of 2013. Aleksandar Gustafsson debuted in November of 2009.
I would have been 7.
I was just 9 years old. How old were you?
Yeah.
7. That's incredible. Aleksandar has the striking background, so I think this one could be very, very interesting. I think Aleksandar Gustafsson's kind of on, like you said, he's got a couple fights left in him, but coming off of a 3-fight losing streak, now somehow he's facing a top 15 guy in Nikita Krylov. Getting into the numbers, 4.35 landed per minute for Krylov at a 56% significant strike rate, and his absorbed per minute is smaller, while Gustafsson's throwing 4.2 at a 40% significant strike rate with a 3.42 absorbed per minute. Although his defense percentage is significantly better at 51%. Getting into the grappling, very similar. Takedown average over 15 minutes for these guys, and the takedown accuracy is similar. But this is where it really stands out, is that takedown defense for Gustafsson at 83%. Although 54 is not bad either, 83% takedown defense is just staggering in this case. While it looks like Aleksandar isn't really looking to put you in a submission down there, and Nikita Krylov he has that danger that if it is going to go to the mat, you better know that there is the potential he could be throwing up submissions. So I think this one's very, very interesting. And at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a really good fight. I have to go with Krylov just because, he's trying to make a statement. He's, I just feel like Gustafsson's really on the tail end of his career here, and that's no disrespect. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, and
I just have to go with Nikita
here. I've been telling myself. I think Nikita Krylov's a great fighter, but I'm going Gustafsson. I think Aleksandar, the Mauler, he's going to get a win here, and
wow.
I think he might call it a quits after this fight, truly.
Wow.
I think this could be the last fight of the Mauler's career. I think he's going to come off with a win. I think he's going to walk out of that arena with a staggering, just crowd going crazy. Nikita Krylov's a great fighter. I would like to see Aleksandar Gustafsson win this one.
Fighting in front of this crowd, getting a win, and then calling it a career seems like the perfect, outcome for Aleksandar Gustafsson going into this fight. So we'll have to see another one. We're gonna split there. And this one is incredibly interesting. Getting into a lightweight bout between Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, the minus 245 favorite, and Jordan the Monkey King Levitt, the plus 205 underdog. This one's really interesting. There's been a lot of chatter, a lot of trash talk, and a lot of things going on outside of the octagon, which I think Paddy really plays into, and that's kind of, how he gets into his opponent's head and part of what he feeds off of going into fights, which, I mean, hey, to each their own, and it's good for the UFC. It's good for, this matchup in the O2 Arena in the UK. Paddy coming in at 18-3, Jordan Levitt 10-1, both coming off of wins in their last fight. The height advantage going to Pimblett by 1 inch, and 2-inch reach advantage for the Baddy as well. Getting into the numbers, significant strike 6.7 landed per minute at a 57% significant strike rate, which is very good for Paddy the Baddy. Just 2.49 landed per minute at a 61% significant strike rate, which I really like to see. Less volume, but more meaningful strikes there. Absorbed per minute is in Jordan Levitt's favor here, with 1.82 to Paddy's 3.89. So he could be susceptible to leaving himself open and getting caught up in the brawl and in the moment and in the crowd. I think it could be really interesting. Obviously, Jordan has the better defense on paper here. Now, when we get into the grappling, these guys are so freaking similar. I think it's going to be incredible if this fight does go to the ground to see what happens. Although I would like to see him strike it out, but a true display of like the highest level of grappling that can happen between these two, I think it would be incredible to see. 1.8 takedown average over 15 minutes for both of these guys. Their takedown accuracy extremely similar in 25%, 26%. No one's ever tried to take Paddy Pimblett down because they're scared of his ground game. So I think that one's really interesting. And their submission average is very, very similar there. It basically cancels out. So I think if this fight does stay on the ground, which I think Paddy Pimblett's just going to bum rush him and try to overwhelm him and beat the brakes off this guy, which I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case.
You already know. I'm going with the Paddy.
But who do you think's going to win this fight, Brad?
Paddy Pimblett's the next guy. He's coming up. I think what this guy can do is amazing. I think he could stand and brawl, but at the same time, he can put you to sleep. I mean, this guy can take you down, and he could put you in a triangle. I mean, he can do so many different things to you here. I think he's an all-around MMA fighter, and I don't think Jordan Levitt's got what it takes to take a guy out like Paddy Pimblett. I think after this fight, we'll see Paddy the Baddie taking a big step in his career. He's probably going to get a ranked fight after this one.
Certainly. I understand that. I see where you're coming from. Paddy's got the jiu-jitsu background. Jordan Levitt's a freestyle fighter. But Jordan Levitt has a lot of experience. Let's see here. Although their records are similar, I believe Jordan Levitt might be a little bit older. Well, he's 27. They're the same age. It's very interesting.
You seem like you're leaning more towards
I don't know
Jordan Levitt
what
here.
I want to do here.
I don't know. I could see it. I could see you picking Levitt. Wow.
I am going to have to go with Jordan the Monkey King Levitt just because I think that, Paddy, after his last fight, he ballooned up, which I get. You can eat all you want. That's fine. But you're on the Food Truck Diaries. Now he's on, all these shows and he's doing all these interviews, which is amazing. And that's what someone who is a big star like Pimblett should be doing. I mean, like I said, it's good for the UFC. It's good for not only him, but, UFC, the London scene, all of those things. I just wonder if sometimes you get caught up in all of the media hype and all of the other things that go on and lose sight of what really matters, what happens inside that octagon. I mean, did you see his weigh-in today? He pulled his pants down and was smacking his ass and all that kind of stuff. Did you see it? Which I think is hilarious. I love that kind of camaraderie. I just don't know if obviously he's ready. He's a fighter. This is what he does. Just like Sugar Sean, obviously it didn't matter in his last fight. They barely got into it. The eye poke situation, that's terribly unfortunate. But I would have liked to see that fight play out because I really wanted to see a true display of what Sugar Sean can do, because he's got a podcast. He's training with a camera in front of his face all the time, all of these things. I wonder, does that become too much at some point and you lose track of what really matters?
I will say,
which is you're fighting inside of the octagon.
I did take Pedro Munoz in that fight. It was very unfortunate that eye poke happened. I think Sugar Sean came out looking great. But I think Pedro was going to be the one to knock the train off. And now Sugar Sean's getting what he wanted, and he's about to fight Piotr Jan. And I think this is going to really be obviously his biggest test. Along with that, I think Jan is a freak.
Jan is a fucking animal. So I think truly this one could be a great fight. And I'll be looking forward to covering the stats and looking at that one a little bit deeper as the time comes.
Yeah,
when is that? That's UFC 280. Yeah, That's a big one, which we'll get into when the time comes. But at the end of the day, I'm going with Jordan, the Monkey King Levitt. You've got Patty Pimblett, another one we're splitting here. I can't wait to see how that one plays out, truly. I'm so excited. And that leads us into our co-main event of the night, middleweight bout between number 8 Jack Hermansen and Chris Action Man Curtis at number 9. Hermansen coming in at the minus 115 favorite. And Chris Curtis coming in at a minus 105 as well. So this fight is going to be close. People think it's going to be a really close matchup. Jack Hermansen with the MMA background, Chris Curtis with the MMA background. Hermansen, 11 wins by knockout, while Chris Curtis has 16 wins by knockout over his professional career, a 65% striking accuracy as well. Getting into it, Jack Hermansen coming into this fight at 22-7, Chris Action Man Curtis 29-8. Hermansen coming off of a loss in his last fight. Chris Curtis won just 1 month ago when he went 3 rounds and won by decision. I want to see here who he fought and went 3 rounds with. He went 3 rounds with Vieira just June 25th. 3 rounds, won by unanimous decision. Do you think that is going to have
here's the thing, though,
something to do
Chris
with
Curtis,
how this fight plays out, Brad?
He's been in camp. He probably did a 6 to 8 week camp prior to that last fight a month ago. He went 3 rounds, so obviously you got to take some sort of damage in 3 rounds. I think he's recovered, but I think it's a short camp for him. I think he probably took a week off and did like a 3 to 4 week camp, preparing for arguably his toughest fight in Jack the Joker. I'm a big Jack Hermansen fan. I've watched him fight for a while now. I've watched Chris Curtis fight. I think this is going to be an absolute brawl. The numbers do not lie here. This is ridiculous. These are crazy numbers.
Wow, we get we get into the numbers here. 7.23 landed per minute at a 65% significant strike rate for Chris Action Man Curtis, although his absorbed per minute is 6.28, which is rather large compared to the 3.83 we see for Jack Hermansen. He's throwing 4.97 landed per minute at a 44% strike rate, which is not a little by any means, but just compared to Chris Curtis's 65%, it can look smaller. Hermansen has the better defense here. So if this is a stand-up and brawl type of fight, it could be interesting. This is a little bit odd here. We see a takedown average of 0 for Chris Action Man and 1.73 over 15 minutes for the Joker. 30% takedown accuracy, so I don't know how much that's going to have a play in this fight with Chris Curtis's 100% takedown defense and Hermansen's 75% takedown defense. So do I see this fight going to the ground? Absolutely not. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. I think it's going to be a riot, and I think it's going to be a great fight. Although, me personally, Chris Curtis took this fight on short notice after Darren Till backed out. I think I got to go with the Joker here, just because although I think Chris Curtis is a phenomenal fighter, he's out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and, there's a lot to be said there. I don't know if you can turn around and fight someone of this caliber so soon after going 3 rounds with Vieira. If he does pull this off, I mean, respect to Chris Curtis. I'll have major respect for him. And I think that would be huge for him. But as for if I got to put money on someone, I'm going with Jack the Joker here.
I think Jack's got the experience. He's got the tools to beat this guy. I think Chris Curtis is going to be lackadaisical when he comes into this fight. He's probably not prepared. I don't want to say he's not prepared, but that's the only word I can think of right now, because coming off a month ago fight where you went 3 rounds, that's 15 minutes in a cage, and if you went 3 rounds, you took some sort of beating. I think he's going to come into this fight a little different than what we see out of Chris Curtis. So I'm going to take Jack the Joker here. Yeah, right.
I like it.
We'll see if we
I
can
like
agree
it.
on this one.
One we can finally agree on.
Banger of a fight here to finish it.
This fight is absolutely incredible. The matchmaking team was off the charts when they put this one together. Number 4, Curtis Razorblades at the 110 underdog, and the number 6, Tom Aspinall at the minus 130 favorite in this heavyweight main event bout. Razorblades coming in at 16-3-1 no contest, with Tom Aspinall 12-2, both coming off of wins in their last fight. Obviously, this fight is in the UK, Tom Aspinall's home country, so that's huge for him. The reach in the advantage of Razorblades, 2-inch reach advantage there. Getting into the numbers, 7.33 at a 65% significant strike rate for Tom Aspinall. I think that's huge. I love to see that. And then his absorb per minute is 2.65, which is rather small, but compared to Curtis Blades' 1.68, which is phenomenal. I love that. His significant strikes landed per minute look like 3.52 at a 51% rate for Razorblades there, with Tom Aspinall having the advantage in the defense. Getting into the grappling, these guys are some of the best in the heavyweight division. 6.6 takedown average over 15 minutes for Razorblades, 4.7 for Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall with 100% takedown accuracy and 100% takedown defense. I think that really speaks numbers. Although if anybody's going to take him down and throw him around, Curtis Razorblades could be the guy. You know what I'm saying? I just think this matchup is incredible, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch. The submission average over 15 minutes, 2.4 for Tom Aspinall to Curtis Blades 0. So both of these guys are obviously comfortable on the ground, but I think if it goes to the ground and Tom Aspinall's in the dominant position, he's not letting Curtis do anything. I mean, he's going to be throwing submissions, the ground and pound. Tom Aspinall is a phenomenal fighter, well-rounded. Although Curtis Blades, he's got the striking power. He can take you down and maul you. So,
man, I love this.
I think
fight.
this is a phenomenal matchup.
Aspinall,
who do you think is going to win this fight, Brad?
A ferocious win. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. I don't know if anybody watches last. Go ahead. Right.
Ferocious win.
His win against
8-fight win streak has not lost in the UFC.
What he did to
so
that guy just absolutely picked him apart. But then you look at what Curtis Razorblades has done. I mean, this guy's 16-3. He's no joke. He's coming off wins against Jazeer Rosenstruck. His only, I mean, not his only, but his most recent loss was against Derek Lewis. I mean, this guy's done it all. I don't really know. This is going to be such a good fight. I love the numbers for Tom Aspinall all around. I mean, standing, grappling, he is just phenomenal. 100%. I love the 100% takedown defense, 100% accuracy. This guy's going to control the fight. I think Curtis Blades could sleep this guy. I think he could sleep him in one punch. But I think I'm going to have to go with Tom Aspinall here. I love this matchup. I'm excited to watch this.
Oh, yeah.
I do not want to bet against Curtis Razorblades because that is one guy that I would never bet against. And just, wow, I am excited for this fight. I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall, and I'm just going to book it right now. The more I think about it, the more I'm going to go towards Curtis Blades, but I'm sticking with Aspinall here, and that's my final decision.
Fantastic. I'm going to have to agree with you. Tom Aspinall is going to get the win in the main event of the UFC London card in just about 24 hours here. I'm extremely excited. I can't wait. I'll be watching. And like I said earlier, there's opportunity for some DraftKings head-to-head battles, maybe even creating a league. So people who watch the show, we can all join a league and then compete each and every week on these UFC matchups. I mean, that would be really the dream for me. I would like to develop a community of people who already know the UFC, people who want to get into the UFC, don't know where to start, and really anybody interested in this type of stuff. I want to build a community. I want the camaraderie. You can follow us on Twitter at Goat Selection. And YouTube under Full Tank Productions. That's where you'll be seeing this video. We're going to have a lot of other stuff going on there as well. But no, I think this was great. The first episode was extremely fun. And what better time to do it than this UFC London card that has absolute bangers coming your way. So I'm very grateful and excited that we were able to make this a reality, and I appreciate you coming on, Bub, and getting
awesome
out here.
card.
So
we had some disagreements with some
it means
fights,
a lot to me.
We agreed on a lot of them, and I think that's going to be exciting. So whenever you feel not afraid to send that DraftKings thing over my way, so I can win some money here, you let me know.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Until next time, folks, I'm Ryan Mosier. That's Brad Miller.